Welcome back to Student Hub Live. Well, in this session, we're going to look at social media and well-being and the OU student. But before we do that, let's take a look at some of the other study spaces that you've been sending in. Please send them to us at studenthub@open.ac.uk. I love this one. This is Olivia in Abingdon, who has set up an office space in her hall cupboard. One of her colleagues donated a cardboard desk for the screen, and the laptop sits on an unturned packing case. Other useful items are a light, headphones and books, and they are balanced on other things in the cupboard. At the end of the day, she can close the doors and hide the study away. It's very cozy and convenient, and I think that is a big contender for best, most innovative space there as well. We've also got Hilary, a photo of her study space for B872, and this is for the online day school, sharing an IKEA Ponang. I'm not sure what that is, with our new rescue dog as well. It was a very cute dog. I much prefer the dogs actually, but we do like to have study spaces also, so that's very cute. And Fiona in Milton Keynes has this picture here. It's a couple of years old, but it's her dining room while doing L195 Beginners Italian. That looks very super organized with lots of nice highlighters and clear, wonderful space. So email us your pictures, and it's really interesting, isn't it, to see other people's setups and what other people are doing. But Aisha, how's everybody at home?
As always, we're doing really well at home. We're talking about our study spaces again, which we absolutely love. And I love that study space in the cupboard. I like the idea of once you finish your work, you could just shut it away and not think about it. Sometimes you need that separate space. Yeah, absolutely. But I've had some nice comments on my study area, which I'm really happy about. I've worked hard on my space. I didn't start out with a study space like this at all, but yes, I'm happy with where it is now. And I've started putting more of my study tips up there. So if you've got any study tips for me, I'd eagerly put them on my board and try them out as I continue my quest to be a better student. But any thoughts, comments or questions for our fantastic guests, I know as always they'd love to hear them. So let me know. And I'm joined by Vic and Scott in the chat as well, who are helping us. And Tala's been amazing as well. So there's lots of help in the chat, and feel free to join in.
Brilliant. I don't know why you're so difficult to yourself, HJ. You wouldn't say that about other people, would you? I know you have really good love of stationery, and you saw some excellent stationery, in fact. So yes, don't be hard on yourself. Right, let's talk about social media. So this is one key thing I know that a lot of students have different emotional connections with. So I have some academics who research this very thing. So I thought I'd bring them along today and see what they have to say. I've got Olivia, who's been working as an associate lecturer for 13 years and is a keen user of Twitter and is researching her doctorate on different ways in which OU students build connection and build community through Twitter. And Sharon is a senior lecturer in mental health who's worked at the OU for 8 years and was an OU student and is did a PhD looking at student mental health, and she runs the module Facebook for K219 critical issues in health and well-being, and she's chair of that module as well. So different perspectives. What can we say then about social media and messaging? I mean, it's increased massively, hasn't it, over the last 2 years? So before we talk about the evidence and the various impacts that some of these things have had, I wonder if you could tell us just about how you've got these research interests in social media among students. Sharon, can we start with you?
Yeah, I have been interested in social media really for a few years now, since I started teaching at the Open University. The use among students is absolutely massive. It sometimes has a really positive impact on student studies, but I've also seen it have a negative impact. Personally, as an OU student, I saw both sides of it. So it really got me interested in how we might support students at the Open University and how we might teach them about the best and worst parts of it.
Brilliant, thank you. And what sort of social media do you personally like and dislike?
I absolutely love Facebook. I think it's really personable. There's the little photo of people. There's the timeline that kind of keeps scrolling, so it's always updating. It just allows me to connect with people in a kind of very instant way. I'm not so keen on WhatsApp. I know from our use with student groups, sometimes the groups get really large. It can be really intrusive. It's kind of in your face, lots of messages. And also I think that there's the whole politics of WhatsApp. You know, you get the little messages that say, you know, Sharon has left this group. You know, it feels like there's a real element of difficulty with communication in WhatsApp because it's such short little texts that it can be easily misunderstood.
Absolutely. And I think one of the interesting things, I know we've talked about this in the past about social media, is that there are things that are said and things that are unsaid and things that can have nuances or meanings, potentially or not, as the case may be, but lots of inferences being made. Olivia, you use Twitter a lot as a tutor. Why do you do that?
Yeah, so I've been using Twitter. Originally signed up with the aim of trying to use Twitter as another way to make connections with my students, you know, being able to post information about deadlines for assignments, things like that. And also maybe interesting articles that I had seen online that link well with the modules and the materials they're studying. But a benefit I've discovered sort of unexpectedly was that I was able to build a lot of support community among other tutors and lecturers, both in the OU and outside. And one of the things I've noticed is students doing that as well, really, you know, reaching out to each other and building, you know, supporting each other through their tweets and replies, and which, you know, I hadn't expected to see so much of.
And you use WhatsApp groups as well in your personal networks, don't you?
Yeah, I do. So I use Facebook and WhatsApp on a more of a personal level with, you know, friends and family and WhatsApp groups. But I definitely agree with Sharon's points that sometimes the number of messages can become a bit overwhelming. When you wake up in the morning and there's 30 unread messages.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, I know that a lot of students do form WhatsApp groups and join Facebook groups, etc. And by the way, please don't put personal information in the chat box if you're interested in connecting with other people. Normally it's best just to search for those groups, and a lot of module forums discuss how you might add to that. But because this is a public space, we really don't want you to share personal information with each other in the chat. So students join some of these groups and they have different experiences of them. Based on your guys' experiences as tutors and lecturers, what do students tend to use to support them alongside their study? What are some of the most common social media platforms?
So a lot of students use Facebook, and there are a lot of module specific groups on there. There's also the wider OU student association group, which has, you know, thousands and thousands of members, and those can be good, particularly for motivation, for connecting. You know, forming a student identity is very important to kind of getting you up and running as a student and connecting you with other people who are studying. But you know, it's worth bearing in mind that a lot of the Facebook groups for modules aren't run by the Open University directly. They are administered by students themselves.
No, absolutely. We've asked people at home what they think about the various groups, and the favourites seem to be Facebook, and the least favourites seem to be Twitter. HJ, have people been joining WhatsApp groups to support their modules?
I think we're a bit split in the chat here about what we think of social media. And I think personally as well, I'm a bit split. Sometimes I absolutely love it and I think it's amazing. And other times I just want to delete all my accounts and it just gets a bit too much. And I think Dee puts it really well when Dee says, I dislike social media sites as they distract you from the main focus of study. But she likes the OU forums because they're very focused. And that's a bit like me. I go on one site to find something and then a couple of hours later I've ended up somewhere else.
Yes.
Shane as well, not really interested in social networking, but does like what the Open University has to offer with all the different types of forums. So you may have like casual cafe forums or specific tutor group or tutorial forums. So we are a bit split, but there's loads of groups out there if you are interested in it. And if not, you've got these fantastic OU forums.
Absolutely. And we've also been promoting a Open Learn course, which is gaining confidence using forums. So if forums are something that you haven't been familiar with, you might want to check that out. It's all free and online, so you can just take a quick look at that if that's going to be useful. So Sharon, what do we know then about how OU students are using Facebook? You know, we know that there are a huge number on the OU page. You've mentioned that some are moderated by students and some are moderated by the university. I know one of the things we were talking about when we were planning this was the distinction between things that are there to be sort of information sources from a university or institution out, or for spaces within which students operate. And there seems to be something very fundamental in terms of the parameters of that moderation. Who is it for? What's allowed to be discussed? What are the rules of engagement within that? So I wonder if you can talk about the OU Facebook group and what some of the things are that students gain from there, what goes on in that space.
So a lot of the faculties have their own Facebook groups, which won't be module specific, but it is worth joining because it tells you a little bit about what's going on at faculty level and some of the academic work that's going on. It can keep you really in touch with your part of, so the faculties are little bits of the university that you can connect with. The OU Facebook groups that you'll find that tend to be module specific. So for example, the module that I chair, there are two what I would call unofficial groups. They're run by students and they're closed. And actually, as tutors and lecturers, we don't know what goes on in those groups. You have to be a student to join them. And that's just one of the things that I would caution. A lot of students put their questions in there about assessment, and other students will respond. And sometimes it's fabulous, you know, that students I've seen some examples of students really supporting each other. But other times you maybe get a student posting who's perhaps misunderstood the question themselves, but not realized it, and posts information that's either worrying or, you know, just incorrect. So I think in terms of information for assessments, which is I think what students use it for a lot, it's worth, you know, looking at your form and just bearing in mind that what's in there isn't actually moderated in any way, usually by your tutors or the lecturers.
Absolutely. And it's interesting actually when a whole group of students can go slightly off piste because of something that's happened on social media, and how bitterly one can regret it afterwards. We could have just asked our tutor about it. So we had some questions actually that the students had put to us as well. So I wonder if we could maybe have a go at answering some of these. So the first one is, I've recently started studying, but I don't know anyone else who's an OU student and I feel really alone. I mean, this is a really common one actually. I've got so many questions about the OU, but I don't want to bother my tutor with them. So is it worth getting involved in social media accounts? Olivia, what would you recommend to the student?
Yeah, so I think Sharon mentioned about, you know, student identity, and that, you know, for a lot of distance learners, that there is that feeling maybe that they don't have as much of a connection with the university and with other OU students. Perhaps you don't know any other OU students in your normal sort of friends and family unit. So social media can really help with that, you know, building that connection and you know, getting to know other students either on your module or just in general. So, you know, it has that connection that you don't feel so much like you're not, you know, attending a university. I just want to link to one of the things in that question, though, from the student about being worried about bothering their tutor, and maybe just to push that that's not how we should think about our relationship, as you know, between tutor and students. Definitely, you know, if you have questions or concerns about any aspect of the module or your studies, you know, you can contact the tutor. Don't feel like you should avoid them and avoid bothering them.
No, absolutely. That's very sound advice. And a lot of love for Olivia's Under the Stairs study space, HJ, I see.
Yeah, we've been having a good chat about this, but what we're talking about at the moment is sort of the balance to be had with social media. So, like we were saying earlier, there's some absolutely amazing Open University groups and Facebook pages and student-run groups on things like Facebook and Discord for people to join. And I think we're all in agreement that a good moderation of joining in and just being lighthearted and not too serious always helps make them a good environment. And if you want to, can make you feel a bit more part of the community and get in touch with other students.
Brilliant. Oh, good. Sharon, this is another question we've had from a student who's joined a WhatsApp group, but feels that they're getting really anxious because other people are ahead and also getting higher marks than the student, but they don't want to leave because they're worried about missing out. So what should the student do?
I think this is really, really common. What I would say is, and I think we're increasingly aware of this, is that people will tend to post in social media when it's something positive or something that they're quite proud of, and there will be a lot of students who aren't that far ahead, who might perhaps, like the student, are sitting back and worrying. I would encourage students to think carefully about whether or not the WhatsApp group is really helping, or if it's, as the student says, invoking anxiety, then it perhaps isn't for them. But the other thing that I think can be helpful is to form a smaller group, a smaller WhatsApp group with a smaller number of students. Because often I've seen the module that I run has 800 students, and I've seen students share their phone number with 800 people, and then this huge group evolves. And all you need is maybe 2 or 3 students that maybe you've connected with on a forum, or that so you can ask on the WhatsApp group if you can form a smaller group. That it's overwhelming, and it's okay to say it's overwhelming, and it's okay to step entirely away from WhatsApp and use the other forms of communication that are open to us. It's all about deciding if it's helping or not.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's hard when there's that fear of missing out. But as you say, everything that is essential will be there on your module website, and your tutor will be, communicating that. So the forums are the place to check for sure. But everything else can either be supportive or not. And it's just a case of thinking, does this work for me? Does it always work for me? Are there times that I want to step in and out of those spaces? That's all we've got time for, unfortunately, Olivia and Sharon. But thank you so much for being here as well. I've got a time management session next, so I don't want to run over. It's very, very bad practice to do things like that. So I will love and leave you. Thank you so much for coming along today. And we're going to have a video break now. We're going to show you Walton Hall from campus, and I'll be back for our time management session in just a minute.